most of the beer that is in this room is in these barrels for 2 to 3 years. So it's a long aging time. We don't get a lot of beer out of them. So just from the sheer volume perspective, we just sell it for the store, the tasting room. There are some beers that get out there. We've got our interlude barrels, which are in here. That's a beer we make once a year, Brettanomyces fermented beer that's barrel aged. But for the most part, at this point, everything in this room is basically just sold locally, as in just here at the brewery. Right. The hope with this space, we just moved into this space a couple months ago, and the hope is that we can utilize this extra space, these larger oak tanks over here, and start making more that we can distribute further than just the brewery alone. But this room is, it's a very small part of our overall volume that we sell in beer, but it's a really big part of who we are and what our culture at the company, what our employees are proud of, that kind of thing. So everything in this room is what we would call wild, or kind of utilizes something other than regular brewer's yeast. Right. So most beers that are made in the world are made with one type of yeast, whether it's a lager yeast, an ale yeast, lots of different types of those yeasts. But in this room, all of these beers have something beyond that, whether it may be Brettanomyces, which is a very specific type of yeast that produces very unique flavors and some acidity, whether it's lactic acid bacteria to make kind of a sour beer, whether it's fruit, we add fresh fruit, it has wild yeast and bacteria naturally on the skins. We have all our Cool Ship series beers, which are beers that are spontaneously fermented with no actual yeast intentionally added, and so on. That's what's in this room. And then next door in the main brewery, we have a barrel room that's full of mostly bourbon barrels, but also some American oak. In that case, it's still barrel aging, but it's not barrel aging with these microbes that I'm talking about, just regular brewer's yeast. Yakuza was a beer that is just basically our triple dry hopped with Sriracha Ace and Cascade hops. So that's just all 100% stainless steel fermented beer. Yeah, we source them from all over the place. Most of the barrels in this room are French oak wine barrels from wineries all over the country. Some California, some on Long Island, some actually from across the pond. We've got some from Portugal, some from France, etc. We also have some American oak in here, not a lot, but a little bit. Some of the dirtier barrels that you can see in here are actually bourbon barrels. You can spot them because wineries are all humidity controlled and they take very good care of their barrels. Bourbon barrels are stored in bourbon country, which is humid. They have no temperature control because they don't really need to, because they actually want oxidative reactions in the barrels. So those end up being pretty filthy and rusty and so on. We don't do a lot of that with these type of beers, but we do some. So there's a whole bunch of different sources to get these kind of barrels. The larger tanks, the foeders they're called, which are larger vessels, those are a little harder to source, but those also come from wineries. We actually don't want new barrels. Typically for this application, we want barrels that are what a winery would call neutral. So the majority of the classic oak flavor, vanilla, tannins, wood character, have already been kind of leached out and into the wines at that point. And then at that point, wineries kind of are done with what they want it for. But the purpose of the barrels for us in this room is it's not really for the flavor of the spirit or the flavor of the wine or the flavor of the oak. It's more a storage vessel, a breathable, semi-porous vessel that allows some of the microbes, Brettanomyces, lactobacillus, and the various microorganisms that are in these barrels to thrive. So it's a very different thing that we're looking to get out of the oak in this room versus the main brewery with the bourbon barrels for like our Curio, our bourbon black. Those are beers where we actually want the flavor of the barrel, intense vanilla, coconut, wood flavor, and then of course the flavor of the spirit, whatever was in there previously, whether it was whiskey or rum or brandy or whatever it may be. Just like, I mean, oak barrels are just as much a part of the recipe of a beer as the malt selection and hop selection and yeast selection and so on. It's it's basically another ingredient. And we've got some that have been there. The oldest barrels in this room are pushing 4+ years. There's some 2008 over there. But most of them undergo some type of primary fermentation in a stainless steel tank and then go into the barrel. Not always the case. The coolship beers are all 100% oak. We have a few other ones that are 100% oak, but for the most part they undergo some type of fermentation elsewhere before they get filled here.